Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, so when we usually talk about cryptocurrencies, we're thinking Earth, right? Decentralized finance, maybe digital art, global trade, all happening down here. But what if, and this is kind of wild, what if the ultimate frontier for blockchain isn't just some new market, but actually a new planet? Today, we're doing a deep dive into something that sounds almost like science fiction, but maybe isn't. The idea that crypto could be, well, essential for future space exploration. It sounds out there, I know, but the logic behind it is surprisingly solid. I mean, think about it. As we're seriously planning for bases on the moon, settlements on Mars, we're hitting this wall where our normal Earth-based financial systems, they aren't built for that. Not for zero G, not for another planet entirely.
That's exactly it. That's the core problem. Our traditional finance, it's so dependent on, central banks, these massive global server networks. And crucially, they need constant real-time connection, always on. Now, just picture trying to buy, I don't know, a Martian algae coffee in a little shop on Mars. If that payment needs approval from a server back in, say, Houston, well, the communication lag, minutes, sometimes hours, it just makes the whole thing completely unworkable. You can't have an economy function like that. It's this unbreakable chain back to Earth banks that we simply can't rely on.
Right, that latency, it's a killer, isn't it? Waiting minutes, potentially, just for a simple buy. That really drives the point home. Okay, so if Earth systems are basically a non-starter for off-world commerce, what's the alternative? How does blockchain actually step in here? What does it do differently?
Well, it's all about designing for autonomy. See, blockchain, fundamentally, it's decentralized. It can be self-sustaining. That means you can have a local economy, say on Mars, that actually thrives without needing that constant digital umbilical cord back to Earth. You could have a blockchain network on Mars where transactions are verified by nodes right there on the planet.
Ah, okay. That's fascinating. So the system sort of validates itself locally, even millions of miles away from any bank headquarters on Earth. That is a massive departure from, well, everything we use now. So let's dig into that. What are some of the first, tangible ways we might see this applied once we actually have boots on the ground setting up outposts?
Yeah, one of the most, I think, compelling uses is creating entirely new currencies. Decentralized ones built for these off-world colonies. So imagine colonists on Mars using a specific Martian crypto. Transactions get verified, recorded, all on that local Martian blockchain. It gives you transparency, security, but with zero need for an external Earth-based authority to okay everything. And what's really interesting, potentially revolutionary here, is what these tokens could represent. They might not just be abstract digital money. They could directly stand for critical resources. Think oxygen credits, units of water, energy tokens.
Wow.
So it moves beyond just money as we know it into a system that's deeply tied into the actual survival and resource management challenges of the colony.
That's incredible. So a currency that's literally backed by, well, the stuff you need to breathe or drink. Your Martian coffee costs X oxygen tokens, and you feel that value directly. Okay, that handles daily commerce maybe. But what about the really big stuff? Multi-decade projects, building new habitats, maybe mining asteroids way out there. How does blockchain help fund that kind of ambition?
Right. That's where things like DAOs come into play. Decentralized autonomous organizations. Picture this. You've got a global group investor, sure, but also engineers, scientists, maybe just enthusiasts pooling resources together, but not through some traditional company structure. They do it through a DAO governed by smart contracts on a blockchain. These DAOs could fund, say, the next generation of space habitats, or maybe launch asteroid mining missions. And participants, they wouldn't just get tokens hoping for profit. They'd get tokens that give them governance rights too, a real say in the project's direction. It sort of democratizes it, It shifts space exploration away from being just the domain of governments or giant corporations. It becomes more of a community-driven global effort. And crucially, it opens up funding models for these really long-term projects that might not show a profit for decades.
That's a fundamental change in funding, definitely. It also brings up a massive question, though.
Yeah.
Who owns what out there? You start talking asteroid mining, bases on the moon. Our current laws about property rights feel, well, pretty fuzzy when it comes to space. How does blockchain help with that legal minefield?
Yeah, that is a critical point. International space law, like the Outer Space Treaty, it's pretty vague on private property rights off Earth. It wasn't really designed for asteroid claims or lunar settlements. And this is where blockchain's core feature, that immutable, verifiable ledger, becomes incredibly useful. Like, potentially the perfect digital tool for the job. We could actually set up a global digital land registry, think plots for lunar bases or mineral claims on specific asteroids, all recorded on a blockchain. Because it's immutable, these claims are transparent, they can't be secretly altered, and they could, in theory, be enforced across different countries and private companies.
Right.
It could help prevent the kind of resource conflicts we've seen constantly throughout history here on Earth. It provides a clear digital framework where maybe traditional treaties would struggle or just take too long to agree on.
It's almost hard to wrap your head around space property deeds on a blockchain,
Huh?
but yeah, it offers a clear, verifiable way forward where things are currently murky.
Uh-huh.
And you're saying this isn't all just, pure speculation floating in the void.
Yeah.
People are actually starting to build towards these ideas.
Exactly. I mean, obviously, a full-blown Martian crypto economy is still some ways off, let's be real. But the groundwork, the foundational stuff, is happening right now. You see projects already using blockchain to, say, track satellite data more reliably in low Earth orbit. Others are working on decentralized communication networks for space assets. Even experiments with tokenizing access to orbital services.
Uh-huh.
These are the necessary first steps, the proving that these decentralized systems can actually work, that they're resilient in the space environment.
So if we sort of pull back and look at the big picture here, it feels like this is about way more than just sending money across space. It's like we were talking about building the actual financial and maybe even governance foundation for humanity to become genuinely multiplanetary.
That really is the ultimate vision, I think. Crypto stops being just this niche financial thing on Earth. It starts looking like the scalable, the resilient, the autonomous kind of financial plumbing you absolutely need to make living and working beyond Earth not just, technically possible, but actually practical, sustainable.
So maybe the next time you find yourself looking up at the night sky, at the moon, at Mars, those little points of light, just consider this. The future of finance, the very systems that might run economies out there, might not be churning away in server farms down here. They might be orbiting above us right now, or maybe just waiting to be deployed millions of miles away, ready to power humanity's, biggest adventure yet.